is Pharma Forum web editor Nicole Raleigh, and I have today with me Daniel Schwenk and Andrea Kloeble, who are working in clinical data engineering as product owners at Boehringer Ingelheim. And with us also is Richard Young, who is Viva's VP of Clinical Data Strategy. A pleasure to speak with you all.
And you.
So, as you can see, we are on site at Boehringer Ingelheim's largest R&D campus in Biberach, Germany, and we are literally in the Human Pharmacology Center where Boehringer is conducting phase 1 clinical trials. Today we're going to be discussing Boehringer's One Medicine platform project, originally announced in March 2022, as well as the company's collaboration with Viva. However, what lies at the essential and beating heart of that discussion is the use of data for reimagining drug development, for innovation of new medicines, for as yet unmet medical needs. So founded in 1885, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Boehringer is a leading research-driven biopharmaceutical company working on breakthrough therapies that improve the lives of humans and animals both, which is encompassed in the One Health notion. Viva, meanwhile, is a global leader in cloud software for the life sciences industry, and the company serves more than 1,000 customers, ranging from the world's largest pharma companies to emerging biotechs. And with the Viva Development Cloud, Boehringer aims to establish a connected technology landscape for agile collaboration that can accelerate the development of novel medicines. Indeed, that transformation focuses on reducing complexity and developing an innovative digital culture to better understand and address those unmet needs. So it is that Boehringer Ingelheim's Medicine Excellence initiative harnesses technology with the aim to build a, as I say, One Medicine platform, unifying development processes and data in a centralized platform. And this is where Viva's technology comes in, helping to make that vision a reality. Before we launch into the details of all this, however, I was wondering if each of you could tell listeners a little bit more about yourselves, your personal journeys and passions to where you are today doing what you do.
When I look back, I hardly can believe that I have been dealing with data for more than 30 years now. Yeah, and you can imagine a lot has changed since then and continues to change at an incredible speed. 15 years ago, I transitioned from data management, where I started my career, to the capability area data collection, where I assumed the role as product owner. And my product is the study setup in EDC systems and the EDC integration into the EDC system.
Yeah, I've been working for the pharmaceutical industry for the last 16 years. 14 years I've dedicated my work now with BI, and I first started as a trial data manager, held various positions within the company, and 1.5 years ago I switched to our capability management department, where I became a product owner for some parts of the One Medical platform.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this setting is taking me right back to where I started, actually. So I started straight out of university at what was then Glaxo, and Glaxo Wellcome, and I worked in their phase 1 group. So everything I did was about supporting their in-house clinic and a few outsourced, but mainly their in-house clinic studies. So I'm delighted to be here. Been in data management, I'm not going to age myself, but let's just say close to 30 years. And in that time, I've been lucky enough to work in the US, in Europe, and kind of move around the world to support clinical trials as we've moved from a very linear, paper-driven process to where we are today, which is why I'm so excited to be talking to Daniel and Andrea about that as well.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, everyone. So I'd like now to discuss our central theme, which is how the industry at the moment is viewing data in clinical trials. A recent paper in BMJ Open states that clinical trials, which are the gold standard of testing interventions, were brought into the public gaze more than ever before by the COVID-19 pandemic, in the sense that industry needs to deliver better, faster, more efficient trials for patient benefit. I think we can all agree with that.
Sure.
To this end, though, considerable overlap exists between data required for trials and data already routinely collected in electronic healthcare records, or EHRs. So if we focus on Boehringer specifically, Daniel, Andrea, correct me if I'm wrong, but hasn't it been a case of, as Richard alluded to a moment ago, gradual journeying from paper to digital over the years for the company itself?
Exactly, yeah. So 15 years ago, we still captured data on paper. Then we transitioned 15 years ago to the remote data capture, which was a huge step at that point in time, and it accelerated our processes enormously. Now we're currently even considering to integrate electronic health record data directly into clinical trials.
Yeah, completely agree. So it's it really speed up. So we really now have fast access to the data, which is really important for to make data-driven decisions fast and to bring our products faster to the patients that actually need it.
So if we think about those data-enabled clinical trials, what are your thoughts there? Let's focus your response on the three pillars. That's to say, patients, sites, and sponsors. What's in it for each of these?
So when you say patients, sites, and sponsor, that's exactly the order where our focus is. So our focus is the patient, the current patient, and also the future patient. Our focus is on the patient. So it's a strong desire to bring medication more quickly to our patients, especially for diseases where there is unmet needs and it's inadequately treated. So that is our passion, I would say.
Do you have anything to add, Daniel?
Yes, for the sites, of course. We also want to make life easier for the investigators and to make sure that nothing gets too complex or frustrating for them. So we have a good partnership with our sites. And last but not least, we are sponsor.
Oh, yeah. And we need to take responsibility, especially when it comes for our patients.
I think if I can, because I love the direction you're going in, which is, for me, I think we're data managers. I'd like to think of us as problem solvers. And I try to draw the analogy of solving a Rubik's Cube. And I think if you look at a Rubik's Cube, the reason I like that analogy is if you think each side could represent patients, sites, data managers, clinical, other decision makers. The nice thing about Rubik's Cube is, I've never solved one in my life, just to be honest. But if you hold it flat in your hand, you can only ever see three sides. You actually have to move yourself or the Rubik's Cube to see the other sides. And what we're trying to do is solve it so that patients have a better experience, sites are not overburdened, data managers at sponsors and CROs have access to data so they can make better informed, confident decisions. But you can't do that if you stand still. You have to keep moving. And yet actually there's another problem, and that is you're not the only person trying to solve the Rubik's Cube, because other groups and other people are trying to do things better. And then you've got this group called regulators, who we have a little bit to do with, and every country is different. So does that mean every country is a different Rubik's Cube? And that's why I love data management. That's why I love this project, because we're constantly trying to solve that Rubik's Cube and make clinical trials better for everyone, not just patients, not just sites, not just data managers, but everyone across that analogy.
I love that analogy very much.
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep working on it. It will get refined.
There's something there with the notion of complexity, and complexity is plural. But sticking with you, Richard, could you share perhaps some of the trends in clinical data management that you've been seeing across the industry?
Absolutely. I think we're in this setting. This is where I began. When I started, trials were one-dimensional. You only had to answer two questions. Does it hurt? Does it work? And that was it. Today, there's at least a third question every time, and the pandemic showed us that. But there's probably a fourth, a fifth, and a sixth. When I started, 90% of data was written down in front of the patient in a paper case report form. Today, I imagine that's 10% of the data, possibly a lot less. But we're also surrounded by data. You know, we're all wearing Fitbits or other manufacturers of watches, but you also have the data we generate every single day from our other actions. You also have to look around us. This is not a real world setting. This is a perfect setting to do healthy volunteer studies. But most of us are future patients or are patients now, and we want to be at home. So you have to use that data to make sure what we're doing, the treatments we're developing, the way we're trying to support patients is valid in their everyday life. And that just creates a huge pressure on more data. But what does more data do? It creates the potential for noise. It creates the potential for greater risk, because we have to be able to pull it into a format where it's intelligible, if that's a word, I'll make it up otherwise. But can you actually make sense of this growing data set? And therefore, can we use it to make good decisions? Now, if you think the average research program is 8 to 10 years, the pandemic tried to collapse that to 8 to 10 months. Mm-hmm. I think it showed us some good things. We can do better. And I'm not going to use the phrase cut corners, but we found ways to get things done. And going back to that Rubik's Cube, the regulators played a huge part in that. But so did the scientists, and so did the patient community. One of the things we might touch on later is that 4 to 6% of patients volunteer for trials. Mm. We had people lining up in the street to join COVID-19 trials. There was a huge common goal that came together. And I think that's the way I'd come to answer your question, is all of those pressures, those influxes are data-driven, and that's what's changing clinical trials for everyone, not just for data managers.
Thank you. So if we stick with these ideas of one goal, acceleration, and of course the core concept of data, I also understand that Boehringer is celebrating its first milestone of the One Medicine Platform project, and that is the go-live of the Viva Vault Clinical Data Management Suite, or the CDMS. And I was just wondering if you could tell me more about that.
Yes. So, some time ago, we at Boehringer Ingelheim started to have an initiative called Medicine Excellence Initiative. Yeah, one result of this initiative was that we have too many complex processes, too many handovers, too many redundancies, and we wanted to change something. And now we are here. We have implemented Viva CDMS at our company. Yesterday, we released our first clinical study to production. So it is happening.
Yeah.
Obviously timed for me being here, which was fantastic, by the way. Thank you for coordinating that.
It's a great milestone.
It is.
I think it's a huge milestone, because if you look at the Boehringer history from paper through other EDC tools to here, it's a massive journey. It's not just taking a new piece of technology and repeating what you did last time. I think what's for me has been really exciting is the Boehringer commitment to not repeat the past. Don't let the past inhibit the future. This is transformation, and we rarely see that, which I think is to your team's credit. There is just this complete commitment to, if Viva have built a technology and they tell us we can get this result by doing this, that's our starting point. Don't deviate from that until we have no choice, which I don't think we've run into that situation yet, which is good. But if you want to get the expected outcome, follow the technology. Don't try and bend the technology into what we've previously done, which is why we're so excited yesterday. Just so fortuitous we were here discussing the next phases, and yet the first study went live. So it's a fantastic milestone for us all.
Yeah, this connected technology landscape that is showing, to use your word, the commitment of Boehringer to IT and data science, which are wholly applicable to the modern age. So in this sense, to go back to what you said earlier, Andrea, it is a reimagining of the use of data to cure incurable diseases, isn't it?
Yeah.
Exactly. So in this respect, can each of you, all of you, tell me more about how that works, some more details, how life sciences companies today generally can use data in the development of those new medicines, and indeed specifically how Boehringer is thus operating.
Yeah, so I'm really very happy and proud to be part of this transformation. We're implementing totally new and holistic ecosystem, I would say. It's we have the Vault CDMS, where we have this great milestone we were talking about. We have Vault Clinical for our clinical operations. We have Vault Quality and Vault RIM. So it's a huge a huge transformation to where we implement this whole ecosystem, and we will get rid of a lot of processes and implement new processes in one go. So this is really incredible transformation. We are daring, I would say.
Within this ecosystem, I think it is really important to have the data as fast as possible to all the positions where it is needed, and this can be accomplished with this ecosystem we are currently introducing.
Definitely.
Yeah, and the magic is that data that comes into our EDC system within Vault CDMS is automatically available in other vaults for patient recruitment in Vault Clinical, for data visualization, for dashboards in other parts. So this is really very exciting to see.
Exciting indeed, and as you say, daring, magical. It's almost momentous, this milestone that's happening. And Richard, what are your thoughts, Viva's thoughts on what Boehringer's doing?
Well, I like that word, daring. That's a good word. I think we've seen in the industry, Viva has a track record that we've grown very successfully. But what separates Boehringer from my other customers is the wholehearted commitment on day one to do everything. It's not a gradual change. It's not a series of decision steps. Because with gradual decisions, you always end up stepping backwards to revisit, to then go forward again. Here, it's a straight line. We're just going. And I think that's incredible. To have CDMS, which is my focus, come very early in those deliveries is exciting for me as well. But it's also a way to show that early evidence. And I love what you just said about distributing the data straight away. That's part one of solving the Rubik's Cube, to go back to that idea. Data's distributed so everyone who needs it has it at their fingertips. I think the other thing which I think Boehringer will really succeed in is moving into new and exciting therapeutic areas, the unmet areas. Because part of the next generation, I think, of data and data technologies is enabling trials that we've all perhaps shied away from, or just frankly weren't able to execute. You know, we saw this in adaptive trials. We're now seeing it in personalized medicine. We'll see it in cell and gene therapy. We'll see it in rarer diseases. You've got to bring the trials to the patients. And the way to do that is to have a highly scalable, rapid, responsive, flexible approach. And I think Boehringer are on that journey, and they're showing that with their early results, which is really exciting. And I think that sets a foundation for everything that is to come.
Maybe to add one aspect, in streamlining our processes and make also our work life easier, we need to free up capacities to support the strong pipeline we have at BI. So we have many great drugs in our pipeline, and we need to also have the resources to work on these.
But that's what I think. I liked our partnership yesterday. We spent a lot of time talking about things. You know, our job is to deliver the technology you need to free you up to do the science that we're not capable of. You know, I graduated as a scientist. The one thing I know is I shouldn't be in a lab. So I think if we deliver the technology that you can then put to maximum use, that's our aim. That's what's good for patients. That's our contribution to delivering those treatments in a faster way. And then we hand over the roles, responsibilities to you to deliver through. That's where I think this partnership comes in as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. So lastly, let's think about tomorrow, or beyond tomorrow, and tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. both for industry as a whole and for this collaboration? I mean, what is that future of that Rubik's Cube?
Trials of the future in the short. I think, let me go first, then I'll hand over to you for the final words.
No.
But I think, EDC as a phrase conjures perhaps something more traditional. This is not traditional thinking, but EDC is the label of the tool we're using, but the thinking is going far beyond. Clinical data is where we're headed. We can't exist in a world where there's single-use data. Patients demand more, they expect more, they need more. Sites, likewise. We've got to map out user and data journeys that enable much better, faster clinical trials. The pandemic showed us that. They showed us we're capable. But at the pandemic, we threw everything in the cupboard at those trials to make them happen. And what did we also do? We stopped virtually every other type of research. We can't do that. We need the speed of pandemic with the longevity of everything. That's where technology has to play a part. But also, going to our Boehringer colleagues here, it's so refreshing to say, we're going to trust you've built a technology and defined a process. We're going to trust you until we find a better way. And by the way, when you find a better way, I'm going to call that by best practice and steal it. So there we go. But the point is, we have to be committed to that better patient, site, sponsor, and I'm going to put CROs in there as well. But everyone's journey needs to be better, because otherwise we don't make the right decisions at the right time. And that's what patients deserve, and it's what they need.
Yeah, we as clinical data engineers, we see also, as you mentioned, Richard, that the EDC system is will probably be kind of the EDC system is one source where we get our data, but there will be more and more sources, more and more different data types, and this is rapidly increasing. So this is our future, to look at these sources, at different data types, integrate them. Yeah, we need to see how we can cope with all these treasure, I would say. It's a data treasure that is basically available for us, and this is something that will also build our future and will shape our future, which is also a data journey.
Yeah, exactly. The variety of different data will change. So electronic data capturing information is becoming less important in the times that we have more and more biomarkers, in times where we also have the possibility to use cutting edge tools to analyze the data. So we will also see more and more the need to have data curators to make most value out of the data we collect.
Yeah. And we need to make data fair, findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. Life forward, that's everything is said with it. So let's bring life forward with being innovative, with being the innovation leader, and with shaping the future.
We recently released CDMS, Biberach CDMS, and the next big thing, which is developed in parallel, will be the release of Biberach CTMS for our clinical operations department.
I think, if I can add just on that, because that's a big milestone, because I think it opens the door to that Rubik's Cube, because now we're going to talk about protocol deviations, protocol violations, we'll talk about payments, we'll talk about expanding the ecosystem of users that aren't having all of their needs met today. And that's what I think comes into your program of innovation and driving for change. And I think that's our small contribution to the big transformation program you're driving.
Absolutely, and one of collaboration.
Absolutely. I mean, the strength of this relationship has kind of been eye-opening, and I think yesterday really showed that for me. And I was joking with you earlier, we announced internally to Viva the first trial gone live I think I've got 50 emails, so you can tell it's had a huge impact in Viva as well. So it is a true collaboration. It's a partnership. We're in it together. I think our team have celebrated, I won't say as much as you celebrated, but it's pretty close. And that will continue, I hope. And that's the way it should be. There's no them and us, it's just us. And that's, I think, a really refreshing and strong go forward process.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time today, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.